Ryan Sullivan, will be handling the hearings today. I know we have one interpreter matter that we're going to call early on in the docket, but other than that, council, are there any cases you'd like me to turn to after that?
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I don't have any preference, Your Honor.
Right.
Your Honor, with the co-defendant case, Camargo and Garcia Duran, we are still trying to reach out to the victim, so I do anticipate asking for Marcy's Law continuance on those two, but we can turn to them whenever the court would like.
All right. So let's start with Juan Yepes Garcia.
Vamos a comenzar con Juan Yepes García.
Good morning.
Morning.
Buenos días.
Probable cause has been found and the public defender is appointed.
Se ha encontrado causa probable y se ha asignado un defensor público.
Let's begin the bail hearing with the state.
Vamos a comenzar la comparecencia de fianza con el Estado.
Yes, Your Honor, we're asking for $10,000 bondable bail as well as DAS supervision.
Sí, Su Señoría, estamos pidiendo por una fianza de $10,000 y también supervisión del Departamento de DSS.
We're also asking for no contact with Sierra Meat and Seafood as well as Alex Harrington.
Just one moment, please. También estamos pidiendo que no haya contacto con Sierra Meat, Seafood, y Alex Harrington.
The defendant has criminal history convictions going back to 2006.
El acusado tiene antecedentes criminales con sentencia desde el 2006.
He had a vandalism conviction in that year and a DUI conviction in 2011.
Él tuvo una sentencia por vandalismo en ese año y una por manejar bajo la influencia del alcohol en el 2011.
A 2013 permit alcohol consumption after hours.
Una por un permiso por consumir alcohol después del horario permitido.
And then he also has two other arrests under similar circumstances this year.
Y él también tiene otros 2 arrestos bajo circunstancias similares de este año.
He had the arrest in California and then the case that is pending here in Reno Justice Court.
Un arresto en California y el que está pendiente aquí en esta corte.
Based upon the scope of these allegations, the multiple times he picked up food, we believe he's a risk to the community.
Basado en estas alegaciones just one moment, please, I'm so sorry. Basado en todo lo que implican estas alegaciones y que ha sido múltiples veces, consideramos que es un riesgo para la comunidad.
It appears that this was a wide-ranging plot by the defendant to defraud multiple businesses in this state and in California.
Al parecer, esto fue un plan del acusado para defraudar a múltiples negocios aquí y en California.
And the defendant does not appear to have any contacts with this area except for the crimes he was committing here.
Y el acusado parece no tener ningún contacto con esta área excepto por los crímenes de los cuales ha sido acusado.
Based upon his primary contacts with the state of California, we believe he's a risk not to appear.
Basado en sus contactos principales con el estado de California, nosotros consideramos que existe el riesgo que él no se presente.
And with that, I'd submit it, Your Honor.
Y con eso es todo lo que yo ingreso, su señoría.
For the defense.
Yes, Your Honor. So Mr. Yepes Garcia currently has a hold, it looks like, for a very similar accusation in Sparks Justice Court for 7,500.
Sí, su señoría, el señor Yepes García tiene una acusación similar ante la Corte de Justicia que es por 7,500.
So with that, Your Honor, I would ask for something. He cannot pay that amount as currently set in the Sparks Justice Court case.
Con eso, su señoría, yo pediría por algo, porque él no puede pagar esa cantidad que está establecida en la Corte de Justicia de Sparks.
I know the state has asked for 10,000 bondable.
Yo sé que el Estado ha pedido $10,000.
My estimate would be 2,500 on this case, making it $10,000 total with the Sparks case.
Podría yo solicitar que fueran 2,500 para que junto con el caso de Sparks fueran $10,000.
So he scores a moderate on the risk assessment.
Su puntaje de él es moderado en la valoración de riesgo.
And this is a nonviolent allegation.
Y esta alegación es una alegación no violenta.
However, this is a wide-ranging fraud allegation.
Sin embargo, esta alegación es una alegación de fraude bastante extensa,
Including multiple businesses in both Nevada and California.
incluyendo múltiples negocios en ambos estados, Nevada y California.
Therefore, due to the risk to the community, some monetary bail is appropriate.
Por lo tanto, debido al riesgo para la comunidad, un tipo de monitoreo es apropiado.
But I will set it at $5,000 bondable or 10% cash.
Pero yo lo voy a establecer en, my apologies, Your Honor, would you mind repeating the bond? 5,000 bondable or
10% cash.
la voy a establecer como una fianza atada de 5,000 o 10% en efectivo.
With no contact with Alex Harrington or Sierra Meat and Seafood.
Sin ningún contacto con Alex Harrington or Sierra Meat Seafood.
And if the bond is posted, he will be supervised by DAS.
Y si se llega a pagar la fianza, va a ser supervisado por DSS.
However, this supervision can be remote if he proves he's living in California.
Sin embargo, esta supervisión podría ser remota si es que él prueba que está viviendo en California.
Thank you. That ends this hearing.
Muchas gracias. Esto concluye esta comparecencia.
Thank you, Ms. Interpreter.
My pleasure, Your Honor. Thank you for choosing our services. Bye-bye.
All right, let's turn to a bail hearing for Austin McCall. Good morning. I believe this case was
Morning.
continued from yesterday for Marcy's Law contact, Mr. Reichenberg.
Yes, Your Honor. So unfortunately, we still have not heard back from the victim. However, we are prepared to go forward. Your Honor, in this case, we are asking for $50,000 bondable bail, DAS supervision, testing for alcohol and controlled substances, no contact pursuant to NRS 178 with the victim in this case, Amanda McCall, or the minor child DM. No weapons. The defendant has a lengthy and concerning criminal history going back to 2016. He had a DUI conviction in Douglas County, also had a DUI in Sparks Municipal Court. He was also convicted of contempt in that case after failing to do his conditions in Sparks Municipal Court. Also had a misdemeanor obstructing conviction in Reno Justice Court. Then he had a 2018 misdemeanor conviction for DUI in Auburn, California. In 2019, he had a felony conviction for embezzlement here in the Second Judicial. He was ordered to do specialty court after he had a probation violation in that case. Then in 2021, he had a couple concerning convictions for, as relates to this case, one of which was he had a felony conviction for unlawful dissemination of intimate images of another. That victim was Miss McCall in that case. He was sending videos they had taken to her mother and friends at a time when they were broken up. And then he also had a felony conviction for DUI third here in the Second Judicial. So we have an individual who has multiple substance abuse issues, felony convictions, and again, including concerningly one that would be, in the state's view, similar to the domestic allegations here, that kind of control and damage done to Miss McCall while they were separated. And then here we have the domestic battery, the obviously with a child around, and as well as the allegation of the pneumatic handgun. So in the state's view, the defendant is a risk to continue his criminal activity, a risk to the public, most specifically a risk to Miss McCall and their child, as well as a risk not to comply with court conditions, given the fact that he has the contempt conviction, as well as that he had that 2019 felony conviction where he had probation violations and was ordered to an intensive specialty court, the DUI, and then also had the DUI and the felony DUI. And here we still have an individual who, per the reports, is using substances, and to the point where that's what started this fight, is the discussion about going to treatment and not drinking around the family. So with that, I'd submit it, Your Honor.
On the defense.
Yes, Your Honor. And speaking with Mr. McCall, he has been in Washoe County for the last 30 years. We were able to also verify an address, 600 Geiger Grade Road. I was able to verify that with his reference, which looks to be his grandmother that we were able to contact. She was also able to give us a phone number and verify a phone number. So I think that would drop his MPRA score down to at least a 9, taking him from a high to a moderate. I think the fact that he's been here 30 years, we would just have to ensure safety of the community. I think there can be some conditions fashioned to ensure that. One is obviously no contact with the alleged victims. I think also, if you find it appropriate, it could be some sort of GPS monitoring to ensure that. Also, in speaking with him, he would like to go to an inpatient treatment. I know the state had mentioned substance abuse issues in the past. I think there's no question that could be helpful to him. So I think with that, if you're not, I guess, if you're going to implement bail, I would ask that alternatively you also maybe allow a transport to an inpatient facility once a bed becomes available. As far as the bail that I'm asking for today, I would ask for nominal bail. I'll leave that up to you, Your Honor. With, as I said, GPS, no weapons, and no contact with the alleged victims.
I have concerns that there are multiple different types of allegations here. that he had the weapon when he's an ex-felon, that there was the violence not only to the alleged victim, but also with the child present, and then the alcohol use after he's been through specialty courts and had felony level convictions for driving under the influence. So I think there is a definite risk to the community warranting monetary bail. I will set it at $35,000. That's bondable only. Mr. McCall, you cannot have any contact with Amanda McCall or the minor DM. That includes phone calls from the jail or messages from the jail. They are all listened to, and I hear them used against people in these hearings very frequently. So do not do it. It will be used against you, and it'll be the subject of another case, excuse me, because I'm making the no contact pursuant to statute, NRS 1784845 for 120 days. What that means is you could be prosecuted for an entirely different offense if you call from the jail or have any type of contact. If the bond is posted, there'll also be supervision by pretrial services, no weapons, and testing for drugs and alcohol. Thank you. Next, we have a first appearance for Andrew Bendon.
They already called somebody else.
Sorry, well, Your Honor, what was the name?
Andrew Bendon.
Oh, Your Honor, we were able to speak with him. He is waiving his presence today, but we can
All right.
proceed.
That's fine. We'll go forward without him. Let's begin with the state.
Yes, Your Honor. So regarding Mr. Bendon's case, I would just let the court know that I do anticipate filing these as one criminal complaint at this time. And so in this case, the state is recommending $75,000 total bondable only bail. And so I submit to the court's discretion as to if it would like to divide that up any way it saw fit. Again, I anticipate filing these all under one complaint. We would also ask for DAS or pretrial supervision testing for alcohol and controlled substances, given the admission that he was allegedly trying to sell one of these guns for supporting his habit, as well as no possession of weapons and no contact with illuminated arms, the victim in this case. The defendant has criminal history going back to 2011. He had a misdemeanor conviction for vehicular manslaughter and hit and run in California in 2011. Also had a felony conviction for take vehicle without consent in California in 2011. Had a conviction for criminal mischief in Texas, unclear exactly if that's a felony or a misdemeanor. Had a felony conviction for unauthorized use of a vehicle in Texas in 2015. 2016 had a felony conviction for theft in Texas. 2018 had a felony conviction for possession of a controlled substance in Texas. 2021 had a felony conviction for robbery, also in Texas. Had a misdemeanor arrest for hit and run and DUI. It appears that he still has a failure to appear warrant. That's out of Indiana. The warrant is for OWI, operating while intoxicated, endangering other people. Then he has this year already a misdemeanor conviction for obstructing and a felony conviction for possession of a stun gun. He's on probation for that and committed these offenses despite being a felon. And so given his kind of wide swath of criminal history from Texas to Indiana to California to here, which I believe shows a lack of ties to this community, as well as his multiple theft crimes, his violent robbery conviction, his prior, stun gun, obviously not a firearm, again, a prohibited weapon. And then these allegations here, we believe he's an extreme risk to the community. Also a risk not to appear, given the fact that he committed, that he's on probation already, has these issues now pending, that he has that failure to appear out of state. And so with that, I'd submit it, Your Honor.
For the defense.
Yes, Your Honor, we're just gonna submit.
All right, Mr. Bendon has a significant criminal history, including violence and other felony convictions. This is a serious accusation of burglary from basically a gun store. So I think that there's an absolute risk to the community. He also scores highly on the risk assessment. So on these two judicial release orders, the bail will be set at $40,000 bondable only and $30,000 bondable only, for a total of $70,000 bondable only. The conditions are the same: no contact with illuminated arms, supervision by pretrial services, no weapons, and testing for drugs and alcohol if the bond is posted. Next, we have a first appearance for Ryan Graney.
Yes, Your Honor, we can proceed on Mr. Graney. He did waive his appearance today.
All right, probable cause has been found. The public defender is appointed. Let's begin the bail hearing with the state.
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, we are asking for $25,000 bondable bail, given the Category B with a firearm. The defendant, as well as pretrial testing for alcohol and controlled substances and no weapons. The defendant has a criminal history going back 2005. So he had a gross misdemeanor conviction, conspiracy for uttering a forged instrument here in the second judicial. Then he had 2 burglary arrests. It looks to me like that was ultimately resolved as 1 felony conviction to burglary here in the second judicial. Then he had a 2007 felony conviction for shoot at an inhabited dwelling in Sacramento, California. It appears that case originated in 2005, but was ultimately resulted in a conviction in 2007. Then he had a 2012 felony arrest for burglary that was ultimately dismissed in 2012 here in Reno Justice Court. So understand that some of this criminal history is a bit older, but again, concerning given the burglary issues, as well as the shoot at an inhabited dwelling, given the firearm located here and the appearance of multiple controlled substances and subscription or prescription medication. So we believe these are risks to the community, and that bail is appropriate with those conditions. Thank you.
For the defense.
Yes, Your Honor, we were able to contact a reference for Mr. Graney. It was Ashley, his fiance. We were able to verify the address that's on the MPRA, which is 1070 Big Springs Road. It also seems like he's been working for Brightview, which I think does lawn care and maintenance and things like that. We were also able to verify his phone number. She did say that he pays all the bills based on that job that he has. So any sort of bail amount, he can't afford any bail amount. It would be de facto detention. It seems like it would put their family in a very difficult situation. I'd like to point out that on the MPRA, his score is a 4. With the verifying that residence, it drops it to a 3. Mainly, he just has points for age and misdemeanors. As the state pointed out, he does have a criminal history, but it seems fairly remote, as it didn't show up on the MPRA for felonies or anything like that. So I think that shows that he could be released based on the MPRA score. And I mean, with the address he has, it would just really be safe to the community. I think all the conditions the state had with the pretrial services, the testing, and no weapons is appropriate. But I would ask for his OR release so that he can get back to work and support his family.
Well, he does have felony convictions. They're just outside the date range captured by the risk assessment. And one
Right.
in particular that I'm concerned about is a felony conviction for shooting at an inhabited dwelling or vehicle. Now, granted, it's older, it's from 2007, but it's a weapons-related offense, a very dangerous one. And then here he is, not only found allegedly with the methamphetamine and potentially heroin, but with a gun. So I understand that he scores low. Part of that is just because the other cases are old. I don't know if he had a period of sobriety and was doing better, but those prior convictions concern me significantly. So for that, I believe that there's a risk to the community. Monetary bail is appropriate, but I'll set it at $15,000 bondable only. If he posts, he'll be supervised by pretrial services, no weapons, and tested for drugs and alcohol.
Thank you.
Next, we have a first appearance for Tyler Hammond.
Yes, Your Honor, he did waive, and with that, we'll just submit on whatever the state has recommendations.
All right, probable cause is found, public defenders appointed. What's the state's recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor, we're asking for 10,000 on each for a total of 20,000 with testing for alcohol and controlled substances. No contact with either the Walmart or the Nordstrom rack.
Give me just a moment. All right. It was $10,000 total, Mr. Reichenberg?
No, 20 total, 10 on each. Your
Oh,
Honor.
that was the request. Okay. Well, the most serious allegation here is the using another person's identification in the felony drugs. So, I also see that he's unhoused. So I'm going to set bail on each at $5,000 for a total of $10,000. And if he posts, yes, no contact with Nordstrom rack and Walmart. And he'll be supervised by DAS and tested for drugs and alcohol if he posts. Thank you. Next, we have first appearance for Jesus Bautista. Morning, give me just a moment.
Morning, ma'am.
In Mr. Bautista's case, probable cause has been found. The public defender is appointed. Let's begin the bail hearing with the state.
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, we are asking for $25,000 bondable only bail, DAS supervision, no contact with either Patrick Bundy or Jada Mathena, no weapons, and testing for alcohol and controlled substances. Defendant has a concerning criminal history, especially as it relates to firearms. He's pending possession of a firearm by a prohibited person. That's set in this court for preliminary hearing on the 18th on Tuesday. Also has a misdemeanor conviction in 2024 for attempt to possess a dangerous weapon in Reno Justice Court. Had a felony conviction in 2019 for battery with a deadly weapon in the second judicial, where he received prison time. Basically, he had a supervised bail revoked when he violated terms, including controlled substance use. Also has possession of drug paraphernalia convictions in Sparks Municipal Court and this court in 2018 and 2017. So clearly concerning risk regarding firearms, given his past history, what's contained in the probable cause sheet, as well as risk to the community. And although that 19 is a little bit old, the concern with following court orders, I believe, makes him a risk not to follow court orders in this case and not to appear. So we believe that $25,000 bondable is appropriate with all those conditions. Thank you.
For the defense?
Yes, Your Honor. In looking at Mr. Bautista's MPRA score, it is an 11. One thing that I'd like to note on that is there are no prior FTAs that I saw. And I think with that also, we were able to verify some information. We were able to contact his girlfriend. We were able to get an address, 3700 4th Street here in Reno, also get a phone number for him, and also that he works in construction. So I think that MPRA is a little bit misleading. I think it's more of a, rather than a high, it's more of a middle ground there, maybe more like a 8 or a 7. I think with that, there can be some conditions fashioned to ensure safety of the community. One of those being the GPS with residential confinement, if you find that's appropriate. My ask today, if you don't believe an OR is appropriate, I would ask for bail in the amount of $5,000 with a 10% cash option, Your Honor.
So for someone who's younger, the criminal history is significant. And the score on the risk assessment is also concerning. I think the probable cause was very detailed. It contained the results of a number of warrants, and I think likelihood of conviction is high. So monetary bail is appropriate. And I will set it at the state's request, $25,000 bondable only, no contact with Patrick Bundy or Jada Mathena. If he posts the bond, he'll be on pretrial services supervision. He'll be tested for drugs and alcohol and not allowed to have any weapons. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have first appearance for Angel Camargo. I just need a new judicial release document for Jesus Bautista. Made an error I had to scratch out.
All right.
Morning. Probable cause is found. Public defender is appointed. Are we going forward, Mr. Reichenberg?
Your Honor, we have been unable to reach the victim in this case, and so we're asking to continue for Marcy's law.
All right. Pursuant to Marcy's law, the state has the right to reach out to the alleged victim. So to satisfy that law, we will hold this bail hearing tomorrow morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
Eric Garcia Duran. Good morning. Probable cause has been found. Mr. Garcia Duran indicates he's going to hire his own attorney. Sir, were you able to reach out to anyone to represent you?
Not at the moment.
Tell me, sir, how much income do you have per week?
Depends on how busy we are at work. Right now it's a slow season in the Tahoe area, so it just varies from $500 to $600 a week.
Okay, and how many people are in your household?
3, me and my sons.
All right, so you qualify for the public defender to represent you, so I will appoint them to represent you. You can hire your own attorney at any time. It doesn't stop you from doing that,
Okay.
but I will appoint the public defender. Mr. Reichenberg, are we going forward today?
Your Honor, again, this is the same victim, and so we are asking for 1 day for victim contact.
Yes, so to satisfy Marcy's law, the state has a right to reach out to the alleged victim, so we will have this bail hearing tomorrow once the state has had the opportunity to satisfy Marcy's law. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay, thank you.
Next, we have first appearance for David Olson. Morning. Probable cause has been found. Public defenders appointed. This is an ad book allegation. Let's start with the state.
Yes, Your Honor. So in this case, we are asking for an additional $50,000 bondable only bail for these new allegations of dissuading a victim and violating the no contact order. First of all, again, I think the fact that just by the very nature of the charges, shows the defendant is a continued risk to this victim, continued risk to not abide by the court orders. I would note that again, multiple calls, even after the court had ordered the defendant not to, left threatening voicemails. This is an extremely concerning case. On the underlying, as far as the category Bs for the coercion, the aggravated stalking, and the malicious torture of the animals, the defendant was set with $150,000 bondable by Judge Birchie back on the 8th of this month. Again, this is extremely concerning, frankly, just given the allegations presented in these cases about the violent nature of the defendant and the risk to the victim, who would again ask for all the same conditions as before with the no weapons, no contact. He has no possession of animals as well as a condition. Defendant's criminal history is long and concerning. Had a 1992 domestic battery conviction in California, also had a misdemeanor conviction for burglary in California in that year. Had a felony arrest for domestic battery and burglary in 1994 with no disposition. A misdemeanor conviction for battery in 1995 in California that appears to have been knocked down from a domestic battery. 96 had misdemeanor conviction for unlawful influence of controlled substance, conviction for petty theft, conviction for domestic battery ×2 as well as battery. 2020 had an arrest for battery on a protected person in California with no disposition. Had a 2021 assault with a deadly weapon and domestic battery in California with no disposition. 2022 had a conviction for contempt and other arrests for contempt. Essentially, he had a contempt and then, or he had the contempt conviction and then had an arrest 4 days after that for contempt again. Defendant had an arrest for domestic battery in 2023, as well as carrying a concealed weapon in Wisconsin with no disposition. It appears that he's got a non-extraditable warrant out of Wisconsin for the domestic battery. So this is an individual who, again, extreme risk to the community, and Miss Wilson specifically, also likelihood not to appear given his contempt convictions and his warrant out of state. So we believe an additional $50,000 with conditions is appropriate.
For the defense.
Yes, Your Honor. And speaking with Mr. Olson, he already has a $150,000 bill. I believe that was implemented last week, as the state pointed out. And he's not able to afford that, so any other bail is de facto detention. It seems like most of these contacts, based on the PC sheet, were prior to the 8th when they issued the no contact order. There is one, I think, allegation in there from the 12th. But I think since then it didn't detail any other contacts from that. So I would just ask for an OR on this case with all the conditions that were already set in the other case, Your Honor.
So obviously the court put in place orders, and allegedly those were violated, at least on the 12th. I'm certain that Judge Birchie was very clear in her no contact, and that was violated. That combined with the history and the details, I believe that an additional $50,000 is warranted. It's bondable. No contact with Tennille Wilson. Mr. Olson, they listen to all the calls, they log all the calls or emails. That it cannot happen. That's pursuant to NRS 1784845. You could be prosecuted for a separate offense. No weapons, no possession of animals, and supervision with pretrial services if he posts. All right, counsel, I believe that was the last hearing. Did I miss anybody? Any questions about anyone?
Well, you'll be in court on the 20th.
And then what's today's
I
date? 15th.
believe that's everyone, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions from the defense? Anything I missed?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you all. Have a good day.